Yes, good evening to all of you. As the President said in the beginning, this was a special day, and not only because of Ulysses. You see different books, actually, because they are in different languages. Much appreciated. It was also a special day for the ESM, because we had our annual meeting, happens only once a year, where the ministers come to the office of the ESM, about 2 kilometers away from here on Kirchberg. And it was the first time again in person in our building, because the last 2 years we had virtual or hybrid meetings. And so the 19 finance ministers who also sit in the Eurogroup, they at the same time, our governors, they came, and also as observers, Commissioner Gentiloni came, and ECB President Lagarde. It was also special because it was the 10th anniversary, so 1 decade of ESM. And of course, that was an opportunity to look back what has been achieved together. The Euro crisis is already distant memory, but it's important to remember that we have come together a long way, and the ESM played an important role here. It's also good to remember that those countries that required financial assistance from the ESM and before that from the EFSF really put their economies back on track, and these economies had, after the end of their programs, an economic performance that was better, significantly better than the average of the euro area. Also important benefit still that the lending from the ESM to these countries continues to contribute to budgetary savings in these countries, because the countries all benefit from the AAA interest rate at which we issue bonds. We pass on these funding costs to the borrowing countries. Most of the loans are still outstanding, so countries continue to benefit. And we calculated that the 5 countries over the last decade saved 110 billion euro in interest savings. And these are budgetary savings, 110 billion euro less in interest cost on their public debt. And this, of course, helps countries like Greece to return to debt sustainability, and the money, particularly in Greece, will be there for 40 more years. We also talked about what happened last year. An annual meeting means our shareholders have to approve the financial accounts. All that is written down in our annual report, which I recommend highly to you. It's on our website. If you want, we can also send you a paper copy. It looks nice. So I will not go into those details now because it's late in the day. But we also discussed how the ESM could continue to help the euro area in the future to maintain financial stability, and that work will continue. A few remarks on the Eurogroup meeting this afternoon from the ESM perspective. We had an interesting discussion about the economic situation, developments, market developments, and of course in the financial markets, and I see it every day because the ESM is a participant in financial markets. There we do see some tensions at the moment. There is volatility, more than we have seen in a long, long time. When you see how the yields in the sovereign bond markets jump up and down every day, that's a kind of volatility we have not seen in a long time. There is reduced liquidity, but we do know that when markets adjust to new circumstances, and they are doing that right now. The circumstances have changed. There's higher inflation, there's monetary tightening, and I'm not talking about Europe. This is also happening in the United States, of course, in the United Kingdom. Also Switzerland raised interest rates today. So there's a new environment to which markets must react. It's unavoidable. And when such adjustments happen, we know that from the past, then there can be tensions. There is volatility. There can be overshooting So all that is not unusual until markets find the new equilibrium. At the same time, I very much want to support what the President and the Commissioner said. The euro area is much more resilient today than 10 years ago. And that, of course, is important when we assess these market developments. We are more resilient because because the fundamentals are sound in the euro area. There are no big macroeconomic imbalances that we had to fight 10, 12 years ago, at least in 4 or 5 countries in the euro area. That was the reason we had to step in with large amounts of loans. There are no disequilibria like that at the moment. And that's, of course, important when you look at where markets are going. Fundamentals are good. And we also have an institutional setup in the euro area that is much more solid than 10, 12 years ago. Because you have to remember that during the last decade, a large number of new institutions were created, not only the ESM, but also it was the beginning of banking union with the single supervisory mechanism. We have the SRB, the SIF, we have the ESRB, we have EBA and IOPA. Some of you will remember all these acronyms. The important point is these institutions are there, they exist. They were created in response to the euro crisis, but they also help us to get through this crisis. So that also makes the euro area more resilient. On euro area enlargement, of course, I am also happy that the ESM will get a 20th member, because when Croatia joins the euro area, they will also join the ESM. We have a well-established process for that. It happened already twice during the life of the ESM that we could welcome new members. That was the case with Latvia and Lithuania. Both countries concluded their accession process to the ESM smoothly and shortly after the adoption of the euro, and there's no doubt the same will be the case for Croatia. On Greece, as you heard, Greece reached an important milestone today. The end of enhanced surveillance is an important step because enhanced surveillance was necessary because Greece had, after the end of its program, still significant problems. But now we see that there is very strong progress in the reforms. As you heard, also the commitments that were taken by the Greek government at the end of their last ESM program in 2018, most of these commitments have been fulfilled. Of course, we continue to monitor, and we have very good relations with Greece so that reforms do continue. Greece will get substantial amounts of money under the Next Generation EU program, and it's very important, and they are committed to implementing all the reform commitments under that program. The ESM, of course, has a very special relationship with Greece. I have been involved with Greece for the last 12 years when the euro crisis started, so I can really see the progress in the country during this period. 12 years is long, but the problems were also very big 12 years ago, and now they are on a very, very good direction, and therefore the end of this enhanced surveillance is absolutely justified. From the ESM, we will continue our close partnership with the country because Greece will benefit from our cheap loans for decades to come, and that will also help them. On banking union, I think we can celebrate that we agreed on an important step forward today. And I'm sure it will not be the last one, because the benefits of banking union are so clear for the euro area as a whole that more steps will follow, but it's very good to start with this particular one. Thank you.